Hello, this is Mr. Stansbury. I'm going to take you through some of the problems on the power and quotient rules worksheet. Okay, first one, for all these, we're going to simplify and write each answer without negative exponents. Okay, so we've got y squared times y to the negative fourth. Whenever any of these in here don't have a power, I'm always going to put a 1 on it to make our life easier. And then with these power rules here, if you have a power times a power times a power, you add these exponents. So it's going to be y to the 2 plus 1 plus negative 4, which is going to leave us with y to the negative first. And it says to write without negative exponents, so that means it's going to be 1 over y to the first, because negative 1, if you switch it to the bottom of the switch it from the numerator to the denominator, the negative turns to a positive, so we get 1 over y to the first, or just 1 over y. Okay? Number 4. Again, I do not have a power there, so I'm going to write 1. We're going to multiply the numbers together. 7 times negative 3 is negative 21, and g to the 5th times g to the 1st is g to the 5 plus 1, which gives us negative 21, g to the 6th. Okay? 7, we've got division here, which means I look at this as a big subtraction sign. So that's d to the first and that's c to the first. So this is going to be c to the 4 minus 1 and d to the 1 minus negative 3, which double negative turns into a positive. So that's going to be c to the third, d to the fourth. Okay? For 10, take 10 divided by 8, and that's going to just reduce down to 5 over 4. That's as much as we can do with that. And that's going to be 7 minus negative 2. So that's x to the 7 minus negative 2, which is 7 plus 2. So that's 5x to the ninth over 4 would be what our final answer would look like for that one. Okay. 13. No power with the c, so I'm going to put a 1 there. And when you have a power raised to a power, that means multiply these things. So I'm just going to I'm going to distribute this 3 back to both of those. That's going to be c to the 1 times 3 and d to the 5 times 3, which is c cubed, d to the 15th. Okay. 16, everything in here's got a power except for the 3, but we'll just put a 1 in there. And let's see, we've got a negative. Think of this as negative 1, c to the 5th. So negative 1 times 3 is negative 3. And then we have c to the 5th. And then we have times c to the 4. Oops, I did that wrong. Because what we really want to do first here, so we don't make that mistake that I just did, is let's distribute this 2 through to both of these first and then start simplifying. So we got negative 1 c to the 5th, and that's going to be times 3 squared. C to the 4 times 2 is 8. Now we start multiplying our common things together. So negative 1 times 3 squared is 9. So it's going to be negative 1 times 9 is negative 9. And then we have c to the 5th times c to the 8th, which is 5 plus 8, right? So it's going to be negative 9 c to the 13th. Okay? Okay, for 19 here, 3 to the first, g to the first over g to the fourth. We can do this a couple different ways. I'm going to simplify this first as much as I can and then multiply by the 3 all at the end, since this is all in parentheses together. So I'm going to leave that as 3 to the first, and then that's going to be g to the 1 minus 4, and that whole thing is cubed. So it's going to be 3 to the first, g to the negative third, all cubed. And then I'm just going to multiply this 3 by each of those exponents there. So that's going to be 3 to the 1 times 3, g to the negative 3 times 3. So it's going to be 3 cubed, g to the negative ninth. It says write without negative exponents, so that means that we have to rewrite this thing here as 3 cubed, or you could write 27 over y to the ninth on the bottom. G, not y. All right, and then 22. Again, I'm going to simplify inside first and then distribute my -5 through to everything after the fact. So this is in parentheses. We have h to the 3 minus -6, and then j to the 1 minus 4. That's a 4 there, and it's all to the -5th power. So the double negative means positive, so that's h to the 9th, and then j 1 minus 4 is -3, and that whole thing is to the -5th. So that's h, that -5 is going to multiply by both of these exponents, so that's h to the -45th, j to the +15th. Since this is a negative exponent, it's got to go down below, so it turns into j to the 15th is going to stay on top, and then that's going to be h to the 45th on the bottom there. Okay? All right, that's all we have for these here for the power and quotient rules. If you have any further questions, please feel free to ask. Thanks.